Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, good afternoon, Ainsley. As soon as I finish this last bite of lunch, I will turn my camera on.
Hello.
Hello.
I think we're just waiting for a couple more people to join.
All right.
Ainsley, should we get started?
Yep, I think we have a good number of people.
Is Steve joining us?
I thought he would be, but he hasn't told me yes or no, so I guess we'll see.
Okay. Great. So we will get started. Thanks for putting the agenda up, Ainsley. So I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at the minutes. If you have and you approve them, if anyone wants to, they're there.
I will approve them. Motion to approve.
A second.
Great. Thank you, Karen and Gordon. Okay, great. So we have a pretty clear agenda today. Only one major thing to talk about. Thanks everyone for joining us. These are familiar to everybody, but we've been talking about these for the past 8 or 9 months now. And these are the recommendations that we're moving ahead with for the November report. I know Ainsley and others are going to be working on that through the month of October. So there's not really room for new recommendations, but as we've talked about in the past, this is a commission that'll go through 2029, I think. So there's going to be room for new recommendations as we go. But for now, we have these 4. No surprises. If anyone has any thoughts or any comments. Oh, Steve is here. Hey, Steve. Steve, you have your hand up. I'm not sure if you're muted. I can't see everybody.
Steve, you're muted.
It's I'm sorry, somebody came to the front door and I had to go answer. I wanted to make sure we talk about the delegates and their interests in doing some legislation on some of these recommendations when you think it's appropriate.
Oh, great. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was something that we were going to speak about, but that's where we should probably start. So if you're able to share, that would be fantastic.
Well, Ainsley and I were invited by the delegates, the 3 delegates, Embry, Simpson, and Pasteur, to talk with them last week about they got all the copies of all the recommendations from all the committees and they want to go forward even separate from the commission, but working with the commission as much as possible to introduce legislation. And that would reflect what our recommendations are. And in each group, ABE, GED, special ed, and career technology and workforce development, and now higher education, they picked out certain items that they want to go work on legislation. And they picked out recommendation 2 and 3, and Delegate Embry will be sponsoring legislation. She's going to work with us, and she'll write stuff. We'll write back as they do the legislation. And they're not going to put it in early. They're going to probably wait till the beginning of the session to put their recommendations in, but they will reflect what we're doing. So I think it's a compliment to all the work that now there's some legislation. I don't know what the form is going to be. We're going to share back and forth with them. And so it's particularly with the chairs, if on any wording. Okay. Ainsley, do you have anything to add to that?
I do not.
Okay. So I just think it's a compliment to all the work, like I said, that Career Tech Committee this morning. All the good work has caught the attention of the legislature. And that's a real compliment to the good stuff everybody's doing. And it supplements what we're doing. It's not critical. It's taking things that we've discovered that need to be improved or built upon. So I hope you see that as a real positive kind of thing. And Judy is going to be very involved with these things too, as our chair for all the groups. So.
And Delegate Embry is also on the call if there's any questions.
Oh, there she is. Okay.
Oh, I had a question. This is Christian again from the Office of Attorney General. Question / comment, more so just to Delegate Embry. 3 was based on MEJC recommendations, so we'd love to connect with you offline to maybe support, the legislation moving forward.
That would be wonderful. Yeah, and I'm just everything Stephen said is correct. We just wanted to get the process started, so we're not trying to, go faster than the recommendations. We just want to start the drafting process so that we're all ready for when session starts. But yeah, I'm excited to work with you guys on getting it in perfect shape. And as our delegates Simpson and Pastor, and we'll all co-sponsor all the bills, but we're just taking the lead on different ones to split up the work.
Thank you. Excited to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you. It's really exciting. We've had conversations about should we put forward number 2 or number 3. So I'm happy that they're both here because I think they're both needed. So this is really nice to see moving forward. Thank you, Delegate.
Are there a lot of state scholarships available to apply for?
So there's a lot of state scholarships, but they're real specific, right? They have specific eligibility requirements. So some of our incarcerated students wouldn't be eligible based on age or type of college, right? There's some that are only for community college. So they vary greatly, which is why I think number 3 is really needed, because that should be inclusive of every incarcerated person.
Thanks.
Great, so those are easy. So that leaves us with number 1 and number 4. And I don't believe at this time there's any legislation attached to these 2. These are just recommendations for our group to continue pushing these 2. For number 4, I know there's interest in kind of understanding and studying the capacity issue within the school as it pertains to higher ed. Those are the same conversations that are happening with the GED programming. So I think, I don't know what that will look like in terms of a study, but I think over the next few months, we can spend some time making a plan for that. Yeah, Christian, you have a hand up.
Yeah, just curious, what the format of the recommendation gonna look like? I know we had the line, but what kind of information are we including? Just curious.
Or Ainsley, I don't know if you want to comment on that? Because you did share a format and we started plugging stuff
Yeah.
into it.
The format,
Yes.
that's important.
Let me
That's why we
pull
get
that up.
all that stuff in, Christian. Here we go.
So the current process right now is like these are the 1 to 2 sentence recommendations that we're hoping to approve this meeting. At our next meeting, we'll have all of these written up. I know Dr. Cantor has already started to write these up, so thank you to her for that. And then approve, the more comprehensive recommendation in October. So this is what the format we're going to follow.
Thank you.
Of course.
And a lot of the language going into this kind of format comes from the report that we submitted, what was it, June? That preliminary report, where we, had a lot of information under each recommendation. And back then, I think we had maybe 6 or 7 different things that we were looking at. So a lot of that content, I just lifted it and put it into this format. So I didn't do too much, but Ainsley, if you need more work on any of these 4, let me know, because I don't really think there was too much on the like capacity study one.
Same. I if you need some, I might have some data, or maybe I could quickly pull up like the MEJC report or something. So if you want any more support or anything, please feel free to reach out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's important. I mentioned this in the last committee thing or meeting this morning with Career Tech, that when you go through these, like for example, where it says description of recommendation, we should say what's going on for it informed. So people read, they know that things are going on, and don't see these recommendations as nothing's going on, so we're recommending this stuff. We have stuff that's good, and so wherever we can put in what public safety or dollar is doing in these areas, or higher education commission or whoever's related to this, put it in there. We're not going to try to make this report super long, but we want to have a couple paragraphs that describe what's going on. And then the other thing is, well, how do we measure if we're getting anywhere? Try to come up with some success metric for anything we're doing. You might not be able to do so in some cases, or maybe just a general statement, but I really want us to come up with a report that says a lot of good stuff is going on, and these are and so we applaud that, and then these are things that we all agree need to be done or we need to look into. So this is a positive report, and that way I think we'll gain more allies in supporting these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for example, for the space and capacity recommendation, I know we highlight the positive things happening with Goucher's innovative, trailers. So we talk about that as, something that's happening. And I think we do that elsewhere. I don't know if, Ainsley, you have any of these filled out to share.
I'm happy to share what we have written up so far from you. Let me pull it up real quick. So this one was the statewide consortium, and then we also have one for space and one for, I think, state scholarships. So
if for this committee and for the others, what we have could be shared, I guess, with everybody, so we know, because people start writing things that may have been written already, and so that but that would be good if we can do that, Ainsley, if that's okay with everybody, to get that out there.
And part of the report, is that right?
Is this all part of from our first interim report? Or it's been enhanced, right?
this is stuff that Dr. Cantor has written. I think some of it was from the report, and I think she's done some more work after that as well.
Yeah, I hope if we can do this for each committee to share that out. So, because a lot of people want to put more stuff in now that they know we're getting to the report writing phase. So, if Angie can send it out, that's okay, Andrea, and then people can react, and we'll give a deadline for reaction, right? So we should have a time when we say, okay, that's it, we're going with this.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea, to share it out, what we have written so far for feedback. I think the one area that you just showed, the space one, was the least developed from the other four.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Okay.
Any broad thoughts or comments about any of these? Judy, you have a hand up.
I was just curious. I don't remember what you said. There were 7 or so in the original. And I was surprised that there was nothing about technology among these recommendations. Was that one that was in the original? And I just wondered why. I don't know.
Yeah, for technology was in the original, and we included in that report what is happening right now with technology. And because public safety is actively, they have funding and they're helping the colleges implement a common technology system. Origin is the company, because they have those funds and they're helping us, implement that. I think we decided not to recommend anything because there's really not much to recommend at this moment in time since we're moving towards improving technology.
Okay.
Is there anywhere where we can, I mean, in the report, it would seem to me that we speak of the technology because technology is affecting all the classes in different ways for higher ed possibly than for regular classes. But I hope we can tell people where we are in the report, not having the interim report. Well, I do have the interim report in front of me, but if I dig it out of my pile of stuff, here it is. But
yeah,
so we should figure a way to update in the report what's happening in all sectors with technology, at least a decent summary. Because otherwise people are going to think, oh, there's nothing going on, or, and it is important that we are accompanying labor as well as higher ed is attempting to do things to get technology out there, like the virtual classroom that labor is working on they're going to pilot that at RCI. And so, and public safety is doing stuff for higher ed. We ought to describe that somewhere. Yeah. In our annual report. This will be the first annual report, and we'll call it the first annual report because we got 4 more to come after this. If you can all participate that long.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. We could also highlight like incentives, for example, was also in the June report. We don't have anything here in terms of recommendation because again, public safety is implementing incentives and a college job assignment into the programs. So they're already moving in a positive direction there. So we could also highlight that as something that's happening and no recommendation needed at the moment. Yeah, you could probably just lift those paragraphs from the June report and maybe add to them.
Yeah, Angie and I will figure something out and bring that back to you guys where it might be logical, because I'm looking at the outline in front of the interim report. There's a couple areas that we could do that because it's okay.
Yeah. John has a hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I noticed that DPSES wasn't on the call. Just wanted to make sure that they're going to have an opportunity to review the recommendations and make comments as well.
Yeah, Danielle's on vacation right now. I know.
Cool.
I'm sure she would have been were she available. No.
Yeah, and she helps with the June report. So all of this she's very familiar with all this, but we'll absolutely share the final or draft version with her before it becomes final. Any other feedback, thoughts, comments? Is this going to be the shortest meeting ever?
I just think that this is what's happening is so important. I mean, trying to get our hands around the program and get it out there, and tell people that what's good and where there's holes in the thing and what we ought to be doing. And there's some best practices we're looking at. And then having the 3 delegates, I just have to compliment Elizabeth and our other 2 delegates for their super interest going on to visits, really digging in and seeing where they can help. And then going forth, I just have always thought this was so important for public safety, let alone education. I think everybody deserves an education from birth till death. We should have as much public education as possible for everyone. But that's hard to sell to the public. But when you say public safety, you turn their lives around, and we got to get that message out there, because I don't think everybody understands that. They often, in many places, many states say, well, we put people in jail to punish them, and then that's it. We don't put them in there to fix them, help them get fixed. And I think most people go to jail and want to get fixed and want to do better. And education is one of the areas many of them just have missed out on. So it's really important to get those messages out. And I really applaud the delegates stepping forward for this. Yeah. Gordon, may I ask you to speak up, because your history with higher ed is just remarkable.
I raised my hand for that very reason, but thank you. I think that the recommendations are very clear and concise. I think they're simple, and I think people can get their heads around them. So I really think this is good. And it's not a whole bunch. A lot of times, if you put a whole lot of different recommendations, people kind of get lost in the value. I think these are pretty clear and people can see the benefit. A concern I always have is that we're in an era now where education is being promoted on one level and it's being discouraged on another. I think we at some point need to look at how to stimulate or motivate people to get involved in these programs a little more. And I think that's going to take people making it relative to people. Sometimes people get involved in these programs because they have nothing else to do. They might want to earn diminution credit. They might want some money, a monthly paycheck, or they might just want to be involved in something constructive. But for people to really take advantage of this, they are going to have to see the worth. They're going to have to see successes. They're going to have to see people who actually been through the programs and that are returning to the community and how that benefits them. So at some point, I think it'd be really good to consider maybe those who have graduated, those who are involved in these programs, to come back in and just talk to people about how this really helped them. And I think that'll motivate others to get involved, because we need people to get involved. We need to motivate them. And the only way they're going to do that if they feel like this is relative to them. This was really big for me, but I had another advantage then because I was a young kid. I was afraid of predators. So the older guys that looked out for me, they pretty much kicked me in my backside and say, if you do this, this, and this, we'll keep them away. So I had a reason to engage. Prison has changed some now. It has changed. It's not the same. So we have to find better tactics.
Do we ever, are there ever like information sessions for people who are not in these programs, that are run either by people formerly incarcerated or presently incarcerated who are in the programs? I mean, I know that there are lots of people in the programs who are incredibly enthusiastic, and I just wonder if there's any way of them talking to the people on the tier who maybe have no interest at the moment, but could be convinced.
Yeah, and Judy, it definitely happens informally with students going back to the tier and spreading the word, wearing their college t-shirts all around the compound. So it's very kind of informal and organic. But I know Charles Adams is on the call because I know Bowie does large information sessions. I'm sure Goucher probably does something similar. I'll be honest, UB does not, because of our really long wait list. it's hard to like people and know that they would be on a wait list for a long time. But I don't know if Charles or Goucher wants to speak about how they get the word out.
Sure. I mean, briefly, we do every admission cycle, we do 3 information sessions and just invite anyone in the facilities that are interested in applying. And then as far as having former students meet with folks inside during our new student orientation, that always culminates in an alumni panel where we have 4 or 5 different former students come back inside to meet with the full student body and just sort of share their experience, like what their experience was in college inside, and then what they've been doing since they were released. So,
Meredith, do you guys take applications year round, or is it just certain periods of time that you take them?
so we keep a running list of folks that have just expressed interest, and then we run admissions every 2 years. So we reach out to everyone who has written to us, but we also invite anyone else in the facility to come to those information sessions. And then they do the information sessions. They take placement exams just to figure out where they would start academically, not to like, not include anyone. And they do one-on-one interviews. And then typically the deciding factor for most students is just, do we have enough space? Yeah.
One of the things I think we ought to put in a report is how many students do we have for each of our higher ed programs? And that it's, maybe if we can, that it's growing, indicate that it's growing, that we have, so, I mean, Danielle probably keeps better track of that than everybody, but you, Meredith and Andrea, you know, for your programs. And so I think that impresses people too, how many you have.
Hey, Professor Cantor, I want to add also, Bobby Robert Pittman is a great inspiration for people on the inside at JCI, particularly that's trying to pursue this program. I think Ramika with Goucher is very influential with that as well, because people can see themselves in them. They have something to strive for. So I think that when you say you're not doing much in that area, you're doing a whole lot. Believe me, you're doing a whole lot, and I hear it. And I think that's something that should be recognized as well. That ability to get someone to go back in, even doing peer support and mentoring that came through that program and helped them with that transition, I think is very important, and people see themselves in that.
Thank you, Gordon. Yeah, not selling myself short. It's just we do a lot of informal stuff that works. That's really impactful. But I appreciate that. I want to share an article with you all, so I'm going to drop it into the chat once I grab it, because our university did an article about Bobby and Kelly, who is also going back in. It's really nice. I'm trying to find it. Steve, you have a hand?
Yeah, I want to raise something to Delegate Embry's here. What can we do? Here's something I'm doing for this with these recommendations, and then see what else we can be doing as a group when we start approaching legislative time. I talked to Phil Karoom the other day and told him about this legislative recommendations that we're coming up with, and he was kind of impressed that our commission is coming up with roughly 7 legislative recommendations. Major, who and Judy is on the board of Major, goes around every spring, for all those who don't know, and I participate, and we go door to door, Senate and House, and pass out a booklet with the legislation that's being supportive. And we try to engage staff or delegates or senators if they're there with a conversation. And then we try to follow up, and Major becomes known very quickly. It is very well known among delegates and senators with great respect, I think. And so Phil's going to bring to the board with Judith and all that, can we put our legislative pieces in there for support, or at least some mention? So that's one way we can get the ball rolling legislatively. But then comes time for hearings, readings 1, 2, 3, and then whatever. So I guess from Delegate Embry, if you care to, do you have any advice for us how to work forward as a commission? Some of us on the commission are in government and can't do anything. Others, we're free to roam and and go through and try to affect the legislative process. Do you have any ideas or suggestions how we may go forward?
Sure. And I'm sorry, my internet connection is terrible, so hopefully you can hear me. So I mean, I think we need to see which committees everything's assigned to. But yeah, it would be great to the extent individual organizations or individual people who are represented can speak for their organization and say they support the bill either in writing or in person, and then have this, of course, the commission, this is there will all hopefully be recommendations of the commission, or will be. So yeah, I just think to the extent of the people can actually go meet with legislators, that would be amazing. And I'm happy to meet with anyone who's interested and sort of strategize on individual bills.
Mm-hmm. So
as much as you want to get involved, great.
So there'll probably be hearings for some of these things, I imagine, and then so encourage people to sign up.
Yeah.
I was impressed how the commission got through, because when I went to testify when it was a bill, this went for 2 years. The first year we didn't quite make it, and people I didn't even know just stood up and decided to come and testify in person or by Zoom, and various groups came on, and so we do want to get some other outside groups that have respect, and I think maybe we should be police groups or whatever, or law enforcement, they may be interested because of how we helped reduce crime, and so just bring everybody we possibly can. I don't know who would oppose some of this stuff,
right?
And we'll if you
There
have
will be people, I'm sure.
Yeah, and if you have any inkling, let's try to contact them, and see if we can tell them what the rationale is, because maybe they don't understand the value of all this. And
Do
we
the
also
other committees, the subcommittees, the SP, GED, et cetera, do they also have legislative proposals, or do we not know that yet?
Yes. I
They
thought
do.
you didn't get a copy of all the we didn't. You have all the proposals, right, for each committee.
Right.
And so let me just say real quickly, Ainsley can send it out, I guess. On the Adult Basic Ed Committee, there's a record there. Delegate Simpson, Delegate Pasteur are going to highlight stuff about the calendar days. Should be classroom days, and then we're going to talk. There's a requirement for the GED but high school credits and GED. There's going to be a recommendation there, and Delegate Pasteur is working on. We enter the thing about creating a school board statewide.
So those are all not just recommendations, but recommendations for legislation.
Yeah, to empower the commission to study this next year and come up with a full model of how we can better coordinate all our agencies, and not moving things from agency to agency, but creating like a kind of a super board to really coordinate things. So that's going to be something that Pasteur has really gotten interested in, and so and then Delegate Embry, you're working on higher education here, of course, and then looking at the career technology. I don't know. I don't have the sponsors written into. Oh, here it is. Okay, so it's career technology. Delegate Simpson is going to work on the certified peer recovery specialist, becoming get some more grant funding to improve that and expand that, which we all think is a terrific program. And then on licensing and issues that have come up about the various licensing authorities restricting licensing for formerly incarcerated, things like that. And who's the sponsor on that, Ainsley? I don't have that written on here.
We were gonna, so the other delegates and senators have worked on this issue in the past, so Ainsley was gonna do a quick check to see who is already involved in that. Maybe we talked
Okay,
about.
that's right. Thanks for refreshing me on that. Okay. So that's, Judith, does that answer your question? And I had a conversation and I sent some stuff over to Phil with all, talking about this. So he's aware of it and he can bring it to your board.
I also want to just jump in real quick and say that all of these recommendations that we're talking about right now still have to get full voting on by the commission. So the commission hasn't voted on any recommendations yet. We're going to do that next week. So we haven't like gone through the process of like endorsing legislation yet. I think that the intent was just more to like, if there was going to be legislation coming out of those recommendations, you know, having it drafted up and ready to go instead of waiting. But we haven't like passed any recommendations out yet or like endorsed any legislation or anything.
So that we'll send that out to
As-
the board before the meeting and for everybody to look at. And you know, there's two things going on at the same time here, and one of them may go on its own. Like, what if the commission doesn't want to endorse all of them? You know, but I hope that we endorse all of them and everybody will vote. But you know, the delegates are going to go off and do this regardless, because if we just turned in a report and wait for the governor's office to say, yeah, we endorse this, it may be next year before this stuff gets out. So the delegates are very wise. They've said, we're going to get this stuff forward. It's important. We're going to do it now. And I think that's wonderful. So. Well, we got our marching orders done. I mean, we'll be talking more about what to do next, step by step.
The commission is hopefully going to vote on these recommendations next week at our next commission meeting, and hopefully vote to approve them. After that is going to be the write-up process, like we were mentioning beforehand, and approving the write-up process at our next meeting, so the commission can have the final stamp of approval on the report in November. So that's what's coming up next.
And I'm not going to be at that meeting. I'm going to be in DC at a conference that's at 10 o'clock next Tuesday, Thursday, right? Yes. I don't know if anyone wants to speak on my behalf. If there's any updates to give, there's not really many updates. It's just the recommendations. So I don't know.
I don't know how this works as a parliamentarian. Maybe someone can enlighten me. If you're absent, you can give your vote to somebody else on the commission to support or not support things, because we'll probably ask for everybody, you know, vote, and we may, you know, who knows? I mean, there might be some numerical things. Some people vote, some people don't want it, you know, on all these. We'll have to come to a conclusion if there's any opposition. So we want to be able to count heads possibly. So
Okay.
far, we've had moves and nobody's opposed anything we're doing, so we haven't had to count heads.
Okay, well, if you need to count and I'm not there, I've seen all of them for all the groups and I support all of them. So I don't know, Gordon, if you're going to be at this meeting on the 2nd, if you want to take my yeses and vote on my behalf, you're the first person I see on my screen, so.
Well, I'd be honored to. Gotcha.
and I know you're going to be there. Just know.
Love it.
Thank you. Okay, well, anybody have anything, any updates, any exciting things happening in their programs?
There's a delegate, Pasteur has an event tonight, the 50th a celebration of her professional career. You know, so I don't know. I don't know who's all going. I've been delegate Pasteur asked me if I would come, and I said I'd be honored. So I don't know who else might be there. Sounds like fun and probably a well-deserved accolation for her and her positive life. And more
And
to come.
so next week is the graduation. That's still on for the UB program at JCI?
Yes, we have 2 graduates. They actually graduated in May, but we didn't get to celebrate them. So we will on Friday the 3rd in an afternoon ceremony. Yep, that's still on. I gotta send my "this is still happening" email.
Yes.
Yeah, Judy, I know you'll be there
What time is that going to be?
at 3 o'clock on
At-
Friday the 3rd.
On Friday the 3rd.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have clearance to JCI, you're welcome.
Let me look at my schedule. I mean, I would love to come to something like that. And so I'd have to, normally I'd have to inform Danielle, so she gets it all in there or something, but she's gone.
Yeah, don't inform her. She's too busy.
Yeah, so I don't know who
You
else.
can inform me, but if you have, I don't know what you have, but if you have a state of Maryland ID, you could just come in.
No, well, I've been cleared. I don't have a state of Maryland ID, and they can't give me one because they can't hire me as a zero paid employee because there are no pins. You know, so
Gotcha. Well, if you're cleared, if you're telling me you're cleared, I can just put you on our memo.
okay, put me on a memo, and I definitely want to try to do that. And oh, wait a minute, nope, I don't think I might not be able to do that day. I'm supposed to be in York, Pennsylvania, so I doubt I can make it. But put me on the list in case something happens. I have a previous commitment, so. But I'd love to see that.
Are they both going to speak, Andrea?
They are, yes.
Great, great.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, everyone's kind of frozen on my end, so I don't know what that means, but.
Time to go home.
No, I can hear you. I can, and everybody seems to be moving or alive. Even John Feaster, who was very, for a minute now, shaking his head, he's alive too.
Okay, well, does anyone want to call to adjourn?
Let's do it.
I second that motion.
Great, well,
Thank you.
everyone has 20
Great.
minutes back, and I'm sure next week will be great. And if I can be helpful, Ainsley, let me know.
Terrific job you're doing there.